We don't like to think that someone is better than us. We don't like thinking we have a lot left to learn. We want to be done. We want to be ready. We want to be finished. How many times have you pretended you know something to save yourself from shame? How many times do we assume we know more than someone after a quick evaluation? You cannot get better if you are convinced you are the best. You are always the least significant in the room unless you have proved otherwise through results. Now this really challenges the culture of promoting this ego within you. You watch shit like Blue Lock and you see the importance in acting quickly and letting your ego take over. It's addicting. It feels kind of powerful. There's so much motivational content that tells you you are the best. You show them how great you are. And we put a lot of importance in this motivating self-talk, which is not a bad thing, but dangerously, the pretense of knowledge will take away our ability to learn. It will take away our humility. And humility is one of the most important things out there. These past few weeks, I've been learning how to put down my ego and actually learn and actually listen. When competing with other men, it's easy to go ahead and think, oh, this is my time to shine and I'm gonna outperform them. And then realize you don't. What separates you from the right track you want to be on right now is humility. It is impossible for one to learn that which one thinks he already knows. You're not good enough. It's quite refreshing to hear that, isn't it? You're not good enough. Nobody dares to say that. Nobody dares to tell you that. We want to rush to that comfortable safety. We want to rush to that mindset where we feel motivated and we feel comfortable in our own skin. And often we forget that the path to growth is always through tossing and wrestling with the thoughts, with the dilemmas. We're afraid of doubt. We're afraid of being uncertain. In order to win, in order to get where you need to be, it takes long periods of obscurity. And we are not above that. You're not going to get where you want to be with a relaxed life. Sitting and wrestling with topics and paradoxes is something we have to go through. You should be doubtful. You should be careful where you step. Unfortunately, we are not literally Batman. We are not literally him yet. Ego rushes to the end and rationalizes that patience is for losers and it is a weakness to be slow and doubtful. Yes, of course, there are exceptions where you have to take risks and gamble. That's how many people have won. But those successful risks are often calculated and probably carefully taken. Ego stops us from improving by telling us that we don't need to improve. While climbing the mountain, we look at some factors of what we are doing and we go, oh, that's good enough, I'm satisfied, I'm better than this guy at this certain thing, so therefore I should win. But why am I not winning yet? And then we get irritated and we get frustrated. But we forget to be a student and look at what this guy does well. Look at everything he does well and respect it for what it is. Don't reason with whether you're better or not yet. If your competition is doing better than you and you're constantly thinking, I do that too, I'm better than him in this area, that's why I should be better. You are perhaps blocking yourself from the hundreds of different factors of why he beats you because your ego holds on to your perception that you are better than him in this thing and you get tunnel visioned because you're always told how special you are through motivational content. You become very self-absorbed in only your own decisions, your own judgment. So you really have to become a student and be willing to study with an open mind without self-centered biasness and study your competition and study yourself. You should be doing studious self-assessment. Our ego gives us feedback that is disconnected from reality. Then we wonder why we don't get the results we want, why others are better and their success is more long-lasting. Books are cheaper than ever. Courses are free. Access to teachers is no longer a barrier. There's no excuse for not getting our education because the information we have access to is so vast. That's why there's also no excuse for perpetual deep learning. There's always a huge database to uncover of information, no matter what we do. And if we are not open to that, if we want to rush to say, I've made it, I beat that other guy, I'm ready, then we have thrown away the key to that database. That could be everything we need in order to make the next steps towards our success. We hear this all the time, but we're never going to be finished learning. If you love something and you intend to get good at it, if you intend to see success, there is no finish line. We have to be eternal learners. How do you know that person's words are invaluable? How do you know when's enough? How do you know what good enough means? If you're a young adult like me, how do you know what's good for you and what isn't? How do you truly know what is a waste of time? It's very, very difficult to live letting your ego down because being willing to learn everything, being willing to unlearn and relearn everything takes a lot of time, takes a lot of capacity. We're too quick to stick to safety nets and guidelines in order to live our lives. Because that way it's less confusing and then we can focus on the things we actually need to do and want to do. But as I'm learning to let go of my ego and become a student, this isn't as hard as it seems. It just has to be a habitual thought that I'm a student, what do I know? Let's learn. But of course, you must be critical of everything you learn. You be patient with yourself, but you work hard. And I think that's the way we live. Being willing to relearn something is a fucking valuable skill. We struggle so much to climb the mountain, but there might be someday we realize that, fuck, this is the wrong mountain. And the longer we let our ego guide us, the longer it will take for us to realize we're on the wrong mountain. And the more we have to unlearn because we're heading the wrong direction. Ideally, when it comes to that moment, when you realize you've been building the wrong mindset up or doing the wrong thing, and it's already accumulated to a huge amount, we have to take a deep breath, descend the mountain, be grateful for the view, be grateful for our efforts, and then we will work backwards towards the correct direction. And then that would mean we have to climb back down the mountain. We don't get to just roll down or teleport back down to the base and start again. We have to unlearn everything. And that sucks and it's really tough. But that's the approach it takes to win. You need friends and family to tell you that what you're doing is absolutely retarded and autistic. And of course, sometimes their judgment could be wrong as well. But you need to be critical. And you need to let down your ego so that you can properly examine whether someone's opinion is true or not in your context. And ego is what makes your judgment true or false. To become great and stay great, one must know what came before, what is going on now, and what comes next. We cannot ossify, we cannot stay rigid and fixed in attitude or position. We must be ready for change. We must be ready for all our safety nets to break down and ready to jump. We cannot become stuck in time. We must always be learning. We must become our own teachers, our own critics. We must accept that others know more than you. Even your competition, even the people you dislike. Let go of your ego. Be ready to learn. Be ready to unlearn. Be ready to move. Be elusive. Be calm and earnest. Let go of the obsessive urge, the need to prove you're better in front of others. The shame is temporary. I don't know is one of the hardest words someone can utter when they're full of ego. And sometimes knowing that you don't know could be the best thing to happen to you in that moment. Could be the one thing you need. When you become a student, you will finally watch your progress skyrocket. When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Too bad to work.